Bonito, como tu tá? What is good, my people? Listen, I know it's been a minute since I posted on the channel. I'm going to change that. I know it's been months, but I'm going to commit to at least doing one video a week. I'm not really sure the subgenre of video. It might be a horror video like this one. It could be a comedy video, like trying to cringe challenge. Like, I'm gonna commit to one video a week, and I'm gonna also commit to doing one short a week, and then we can kind of go from there. Okay, you guys have my promise. Okay. But with that out the way, today we're going to find out if people are able to survive a real-life horror movie, and we're going to be reacting to 3 scary true stories about someone being outside your home or house, or just someone being outside, essentially. This video was prepared to us by Mr. Nightmare. Thank you, our guy, for putting this together for us. I'm going to leave our guy's video in the first link in the description. If you want to check it out with your peoples, feel free to do so. And without further ado, let's get scared, my people. Dale. Story 1 by Marty.
When I was 12 years old, my mom had just started trusting me enough to leave me home alone. So
At
this
12?
had to be when I was 12. We live in a peaceful and ordinarily safe little town. Quiet streets, spacious yards, friendly neighbors, and a charming little village with a bunch of shops and restaurants.
Okay, you in the suburbs.
It really is not a place where you need to look over your shoulder at night if you're walking alone or anything like that. It just feels safe, which is part of the reason my parents trusted me home alone at such a young age.
Nah.
I still live with my parents today in the same house.
Okay.
The night in question, it was a weekend. My parents were leaving me home alone for the night. When we were really little, my grandparents would watch my older sister and I, but since my sister wasn't home for whatever reason, and since I was kind of old enough to be left alone at that age, my parents decided to just trust me by myself. My parents had us young, so they've always been a bit more active in the sense that they'd often travel or go out on the weekends with their friends.
But leave the kids at
They
home?
left me some money for pizza for dinner. It was the ideal night for a 12 or 13-year-old. House to myself, video games all night, and pizza for dinner.
Okay.
I used to be obsessed with James Bond video games when I was a kid.
Yo,
So I was
007
playing some game
GoldenEye.
called Nightfire for like my 3rd playthrough on my PS2.
Nah, GoldenEye,
After
man.
I
If
finished
you know,
the
you
game
know.
again, I decided to order the pizza. There was a pizza place right by our house called Gianni's. It's been closed for years now, but it was one of my family's go-to pizzerias.
Okay.
I ordered a regular pie. At the age of 12, I could easily eat 3 slices by myself.
I
My
can eat a
mom
whole
told me to
pizza.
wrap the leftover slices in tinfoil and
that
put them in
age.
the fridge. I switched out discs for another video game in the meantime while I waited for the pizza, and when the
All right.
doorbell finally rang, I hurried downstairs with the $20 bill my parents left me. My mom told me to tip $4. The pizza place was like 3 blocks away, so honestly, it wasn't a bad tip, especially for the time.
Okay.
The delivery driver was some 30-something-year-old looking guy, though he looked a little rough. Like, he had a really long and gross beard. He also wore glasses and was wearing a black trucker's hat.
What's
I
wrong
gave him
with
the
wearing
20
glasses?
and asked for the specific change. As he handed me the box and counted the change, he looked up at me and then looked past me into the house and said, "You alone here?" I knew it was an odd, creepy question, and my parents taught me well about being wary of strangers.
Yeah.
I said my parents are on their way home. A stupid answer in retrospect.
Yes. He says
I
your
could have
parents
just
are
said no.
upstairs sleeping.
But I knew he was asking because first of all, there were no cars in the driveway, and the fact that a kid was accepting the pizza at the door instead of an adult. After he handed me the change, I closed the door. I ate in the kitchen, probably had 3 slices, and then wrapped up the rest of them and put them in the fridge. I went back upstairs and played my other James Bond PS2 game, Agent
Okay.
Under Fire.
Okay.
I liked this one less than Nightfire, but it was still good. Hours go by of me playing.
I'm a little worried for
It
little
was
bro.
probably 11 o'clock when the doorbell rang. Naturally, thinking it was my parents, I rushed downstairs to the door.
No.
I said through
they
the
have
door,
a key.
"Mom? Dad?" But an unfamiliar voice on the other side said, "Hey, I need help." They said they need to use a phone. I said,
Oh my
"Who is
God.
this?" And he repeated that he just needs to use a phone. I didn't want to peek through the window because, quite honestly, I was scared. I decided to go upstairs and ignore it. I knew from common sense alone that opening that door would be a horrible, horrible idea.
Uh-huh.
I was walking up the stairs, which are directly in front of the front door, when the man outside banged on the door, and I heard him say, "Wait, please, I need help." What that meant was that he saw me. He was watching through the glass at the top of the door.
Oh my
I
God.
turned around, and though it was dark on the front porch, I could still see the outline of the man's head. Though I couldn't see his eyes, it was obvious that he was staring back at me. I ran upstairs and ran to my parents' room. The only house phone that was upstairs was in my parents' room, so I went to the phone immediately and called my mom's cell phone number.
No, call
I didn't
911.
memorize my dad's number at that age. My mom picked up the phone, likely under the influence of a few glasses of wine.
Oh,
And then
Lord.
I told her that there's someone at the door asking to come in. This comment likely sobered her up instantly,
As
I
it
remember
should.
her tone shifted dramatically, and she sounded much louder and more concerned. She asked me a few questions. Firstly, if I had answered the man or at all made him aware that I was home, and I told the truth and said yes. I asked who it was. My mom's tone grew more and more concerned. She asked me if for any reason someone knew I was there by myself, and I immediately thought of the pizza guy.
Oh man.
I told her that the pizza guy asked if I were here alone, and around this time, the doorbell rang 2 more times. I told my mom in a panic, expressing that the guy would not leave. My mom told me to stay put in their room and keep the bedroom door locked. She said they were calling the police. My mom kept me on the line with her on her phone while they called the police using my dad's phone. They had to leave the restaurant they were in to go outside to better be able to communicate. It was a summer night. The windows were all cracked open to let some air into the house.
No.
Through my parents' window, I heard the gate on one side of the house leading to the backyard opening. It opened in a very discreet, gentle-sounding way. I told this to my mom.
Oh my God.
And she kept telling me to just stay quiet, stay in their room, and keep the lights off. I
Oh
said
my God.
quietly into the phone, "What if he tries getting in through the den window?" My mom would tell me to just stop talking and wait for the police. She would continue talking into the phone, feeding me updates from the police and their ETA, reminding me also to not talk. I was starting to calm down just a bit when I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps downstairs.
Oh,
Footsteps of someone inside the house, wandering around. I whispered this in a panic to my mom, and I heard her scream something into the other phone to the police.
Yo, my heart
Probably
is
something
racing
along
right
the lines
now.
of, "The man is inside the house, hurry up." My mom told me to hide under the bed and wait there. For my 12-year-old self, it was the most horrific, unreal moment of my life.
Yeah, I bet.
The only thing keeping me feeling relatively protected was the tiny little lock on my parents' bedroom door. I heard footsteps coming up the stairs.
That little lock
The
ain't gonna
stairs
do
are by
anything.
my sister and I's bedroom down the hall. My parents' bedroom is further down. The footsteps faded for a few moments, I'm assuming as the intruder went into our bedrooms, searching. My mom told me the police would force their way in and to not move until they were inside. I heard the footsteps in the hallway coming down this way until they got to the bedroom door, and then they tried pressing down the doorknob only to find it locked. They tried a few times, as if that would somehow magically unlock the door.
Oh,
Then
where?
there was a light knocking on the door, but the person on the other side didn't speak a word. They tried the doorknob one more time before I heard the footsteps walk back down the hallway, then down the stairs, and they faded away deeper into the house. I did my best not to burst out into tears the entire time. I didn't even whisper
This is
anything into the
crazy.
phone because I was too scared to make the slightest sound. My mom finally told me the police were there, but to still stay put.
Yeah.
I was expecting to hear them kick down the door, but instead, I just rather suddenly heard multiple heavy footsteps and a man shouting my name, identifying himself as a police officer. I heard them coming up the stairs, and my mom gave me permission to answer them and unlock the door.
Yeah.
There were 2 officers upstairs when I opened the door, and then 2 more downstairs. They didn't have to kick down the front door because the back door was left completely ajar.
This is crazy.
The back sliding window was also slid completely open, which was the obvious original entry point.
Yep.
I
Why
had to
is
talk
it
with the
open though?
police and tell
To
them
begin
everything
with,
that
why
happened,
is it unlocked?
including my suspicion of the pizza
me
guy,
mad.
with my parents listening in on the phone. They were en route home, and by the time they got back, there were only 2 police officers still at the house. With the police report including a note of the pizza guy, they said they'd do their investigation.
Okay.
My parents brought me to Gianni's Pizzeria the next night and asked me to point the guy out if I saw him. When I didn't see him, they asked the manager which employee matched the description of the delivery guy I described. He said that would be Phil, who was currently out doing a delivery. After explaining the whole scenario, he said there's no way that would be Phil and asked us to leave the premises. Long
Okay.
story short, my parents made a big scene in the pizzeria, and they said they would never give them our business again. We went to the car and waited in the parking lot. We waited for almost an hour, and when he never showed up, we left. My parents thought it was because the manager called or texted the employee, which caused him not to show back up.
Yeah.
But who knows? My parents contacted a few lawyers who ultimately didn't take the case due to a lack of solid evidence, stating it would be a waste of time, basically.
Because you didn't see him.
Ultimately, we never did go back to that pizzeria, and it wasn't for a long while after that that my parents felt safe leaving me home alone again, simply because of this incident. Ultimately, I do think it was the pizza guy, or at least someone associated with him, because who else would have known that I was home alone that night?
So I think the story is a little bit more sinister than it's making itself out to be, because the man, right, quote unquote pizza guy, we don't know if it was him or not, but it most likely was him, just given that he was the only, or someone associated with him, or he was the only person that knew that the kid was home, because he said like he was home alone, and he looked inside the house and he saw they lived in a good neighborhood, and probably saw that they had things in the home or whatever the case may be, because like he came in and the kid did not mention he heard like rumbling or things being moved around. I think the guy was coming back to like abduct the child. That's what I think, because like he would have heard the guy like try to steal stuff, right? And the kid didn't mention it too. If you guys noticed, right, he did not mention that there was anything stolen. So that guy or whomever was in that house was there for nefarious purposes beyond stealing. They wanted to abduct that child and probably do something like heinous to them, because like, listen, my people, no matter what neighborhood you live in or wherever you feel is safe, like it could be a gated community, like you have a brain. Don't be leaving your kids at home at young ages when, you know what I mean, when the world right now is just absolutely like on fire, right? You got crazy people out there, wanting to, abduct kids, traffic them. There's a lot. So make sure your child is home with somebody of a reasonable age, where if that situation happen, they know like they can how to defend the home, defend themselves. Like 12 is too young to be having a kid at home by himself, because like that person can be, child could be like easily overpowered by some big guy. At least if it's like, a 16-year-old, an 18-year-old, or an adult, like there's a little bit more fighting power in that situation where, they can find something that's within the home to defend the home. You understand what I'm saying? Read in between the lines by what I mean by that. But like, yeah, first story, crazy. And those parents, man, I'm gonna keep my comments to myself. If I was a parent, I would not have done what they did, but to each their own. Let's react to the next story. Oh, my heart was just pounding through that first one, man. Like, that was wild. Story 2 by Dominic Taylor.
When I was a teenager, my parents and I moved from California to a secluded area in North Idaho. My parents had just retired and built their dream home deep in the backcountry. We had no neighbors in sight, just forest. Endless, dense forest that backed right up to national parklands and paper mill logging grounds.
Sounds perfect to me.
The house was massive. 2 stories, a gym, a full bar and pool room, and a legit movie theater set up in the basement.
Oh, they
It felt like the
ballin'.
kind of house people dream of.
Yeah,
Remote,
sounds like it.
Quiet, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Or so it seemed. I was dating my high school girlfriend at the time. One night, while my parents were out on a date downtown, I invited her over to hang out and watch a movie. We were completely alone. I cracked open a beer. I was underage, but figured no one would care, and we headed down to the movie room to watch Gladiator. Everything started out normal, but somewhere around the midpoint of the movie, maybe close to midnight, something switched in me. Out of nowhere, I was overwhelmed with this fight or flight feeling. It was like my body sensed something my brain couldn't see.
Okay.
My heart was pounding, and I kept glancing at the uncovered windows behind us that looked out into the pitch black woods. I didn't want to freak out my girlfriend, so I kept it to myself. In fact, things got a little heated between us during the movie. But the whole time, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. I didn't know from where,
Listen to that feeling. Listen
but
to your
I knew.
gut. Listen to your gut.
After the movie ended, I walked her upstairs and out to her car. The house was dead quiet again. She drove off, and I turned to go back inside when I remembered I'd left the bar, pool room, and movie room lights on. So I went back downstairs. I turned off the lights in the movie room first, then paused.
Okay.
My eyes drifted to the large window that looked into the backyard, and that's when I saw him. Man, he looked homeless. Wild hair, filthy clothes, but what froze me in place was his expression. He had the biggest, creepiest smile I've ever seen, with wide, staring eyes that looked absolutely deranged.
You better go to your kitchen and grab something.
Was a knife. He was gently tapping it on the glass over and over.
Oh.
At first, I thought I was hallucinating. I slowly backed away and went to the bar room to shut off the rest of the lights. That room has a sliding glass door that also faces the woods. I flipped the switch and watched in horror as the man calmly walked from the window to the door, still smiling, still staring. At this point, we were less than a foot apart, just the glass between us. He didn't try to get in. He didn't move at all.
Yo, this is
Just
some
watched
horror.
me. I went upstairs without a word. Right then, my parents were walking through the door. I told them I think I need to go to the psych ward or something.
No,
I swear, I just saw a guy with a knife watching me outside.
Okay.
My mom went pale. My dad's eyes narrowed, and without a word, he went to the gun safe, grabbed his rifle, and stormed out to check the property.
Walk him
I asked
down.
my mom what was going on.
Walk him down.
And she said there have been a few break-ins in the area. A guy wandering through the woods trying to get into homes.
Why is your kid
the description you
alone
gave
by
matches
himself?
exactly. The police were called, but they didn't find anything. No signs of entry, no footprints, just cold black woods. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. That night, as I tried to sleep, I could hear a light tapping sound beneath me. My bedroom was on the second floor, directly above the movie room. It sounded like metal gently tapping glass.
Go and grab the
I tried to convince
strap.
myself there was nothing. The tapping lasted for hours. This happened night after night for weeks. Sometimes it would stop. Sometimes I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and hear it faintly again. I even thought I heard footsteps on the roof one night. I checked the windows, but I never saw anyone. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being stalked, watched. Then winter came. My parents had to go out of town for a few days, but they were still nervous about what had happened.
What's up with these
Before
parents?
they left, they gave me a shotgun just in case. We also had a big Rottweiler, sweetest dog you'd ever meet and totally silent, unless something was really there.
Isn't this like a 16-year-old?
One night while I was home alone, I heard
parents,
slow,
man.
crunching footsteps in the snow outside, heavy and deliberate.
Release the
The dog
Kraken.
stood up, ears
Release
perked,
them.
and began
Release the
growling
dog.
low and deep at the front
Release
door.
him.
Then barking, ferocious, loud,
Open the door
and
for him and then
nonstop.
walk his ass down.
He only ever did that when he saw something real. I stayed silent. I didn't want whoever was out there to know I was home. I didn't move. Then came the knock.
Yeah.
Slow, hollow, and taunting.
These people are
I
not
didn't
surviving a horror
answer.
movie, man.
I slept with the shotgun next to me that night. Door locked, blinds drawn.
Bro, you should have
dog
just
at my
shot down the
feet.
door, man.
The next morning, I went outside and saw something that made my stomach drop. Footprints. Fresh
Oh,
human
my
footprints
God.
circled
Oh,
the
my
entire
God.
house.
Oh my
They
God.
stopped at every single window.
This could not be
like
me.
Someone was trying to look in, searching for me. I followed the prints around the property, and they eventually led into the forest. I followed them maybe half a mile before they started to zigzag, veer off, loop back, like whoever made them was trying to throw me off their trail. I turned back. Something told me it was a bad idea to keep going. That night, the tapping came back, louder this time. I knew it was him. I
He's
unlocked
effing
my
with you.
door,
He's
grabbed my
effing with you.
shotgun, and stepped onto the second-story deck. I flipped on the fog lights that illuminated the backyard. There he was. Same man, same smile,
Bro.
same dead eyes.
Up it on
He
him.
was holding the knife again, staring
it on him.
directly at me like he could see through me. I raised the shotgun and shouted, "If you don't leave, I'll put one right through you." He
Okay.
didn't move or flinch.
Bro, he don't
Just
believe
stared,
it.
unblinking,
He don't believe it.
grinning. I fired a warning shot into the air, and that finally got a reaction. He staggered a bit, then slowly backed into the woods, still facing me. That's when I decided to unleash the dog. I
Release the
sprinted
Kraken.
downstairs, threw
Get
open
him,
the sliding
Cujo.
door, and let him loose. He bolted into the forest like a black missile, barking and snarling. I'd never seen him that aggressive.
Uh-huh.
He had a shock collar, so he couldn't go far, but I like to think he chased that guy off for good,
man.
because after that night, I never saw him again.
There you go. Story got me tight, like. Story got me tight, like, you feel me? Like, yo, what is up with these parents leaving their kids at home at young ages? Like, the parents knew there was a prowler out on the loose, and they leaving their kids out. That's this. Listen, make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me. Like, my parents would, if I was that age, would never, especially if there was like a prowler on the loose, like, would never. Like, we had Rottweilers too when I was younger, so like I had a German Rottweiler, and she was vicious. So like I would have released the Kraken and let you know what I mean, let nature take its course. You know what I mean? Cause like I ain't giving that guy 1, 2, 3 chances to, like, if he's stalking. No. You gotta eliminate a problem, a cycle like that, before it becomes a problem. Like, he could have easily broken into Buddy's house and just like murdered his, you know what I mean, like unalived his parents while he. No, man, these people are not surviving a horror movie, man. They are not surviving. I got too much melanin for this one. I have too much melanin because, like, bro, let me tell you something. if that was listen, these stories today are storying, my people. Like, we 2 for 2. We are 2 for 2. This is wild. Oh Lord. Story 3, by Mike T.
This happened in March of 2022 during spring break. I was in my second year of college. My
Hey, we got an
friends
adult
and I,
this
6
time.
of us total, decided to rent a cabin out in South Carolina for a few days, just to get away from everything. No school, no stress, no phones. It was supposed to be one of those quiet trips where you drink too much, play music too loud, and maybe make some memories you'll laugh about later.
Okay.
There were 4 of us guys, me, Matt, Chris, and Tyler, and 2 girls, Jess and Sarah. We'd all been close since freshman year. The cabin we picked was stupid cheap for its size. 2 stories, a wraparound porch, 2 bathrooms, and listed as being on private land near a lake.
Okay.
It was way out there, no towns for miles, surrounded by forest. The guy who owned it had a thick accent and seemed kind of off when we talked to him on the phone.
Bro.
All he said was,
Too many red flags
just don't
right
go
now.
wandering
Too
too
many
deep into the woods.
Oh, no,
Some
that's
old stuff back there.
I seen Get Out.
Wells,
That could not
busted
be me.
fences, snakes. You don't want to get turned around. We laughed about it, thought he was just trying to add some spooky southern charm to the trip. But when we got there, it wasn't funny. The drive took forever. GPS gave out an hour before we arrived.
Not the
The
GPS
last part of
giving
the road
out.
was just dirt and gravel, barely wide enough for 1 car. Trees got thicker the closer we got. When we finally saw the cabin, we all kind of went quiet. It didn't look like the pictures. It was older and dirtier.
Bro, turn
The
back.
windows were dusty, and a few of the
Turn
shutters
back
were hanging off by the
around.
hinges. There was this faint smell outside, like old garbage and wet wood. We brushed it off and made jokes, said it just added character. We unloaded, claimed rooms, and started drinking by 7 p.m. The first night was fun. We grilled outside, cranked music from a Bluetooth speaker, and played some card games. By 11, it got cold, so we moved inside. That's when I noticed how dark the woods were. I don't mean just nighttime dark. I mean complete blackness. The porch lights barely lit up more than a few feet, and the trees were so dense it felt like they were pressing in from all sides. No bugs, no wind, just total heavy silence.
Something ain't right.
We ended up
If
crashing
there's no
around
bugs,
2
something's not
a.m.
right.
I had one of the rooms on the ground floor, right next to the kitchen. Small and just a bed and a window facing the woods. At around 4:15, I woke up. No reason, just wide awake like someone had poked me. I laid there for a second, heart
What do you
beating
mean by
fast.
poking you?
Then I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. I thought it was the heater at first. but then it repeated. Steady, non-metallic, non-mechanical. It sounded like fingers. I looked at the window, and there was a man standing there. He was pressed up against the glass, face almost touching it. Pale skin, wild hair, no shirt, just staring in. His mouth hung slightly open like he was breathing through it. His eyes were wide. He didn't blink. He didn't move. He just stood there and tapped, soft and slow, like he was trying to tease me. I felt like my body locked up. Then the tapping got a little faster. I whispered for Matt, who was sleeping on the couch outside my room.
What you
I said
whispering
his name
for?
again, louder.
Exactly, yell his
He
name.
woke up groggy and asked what I wanted. I just pointed. He looked over, saw the man, and immediately jumped up, knocking over the coffee table. That must have scared the guy off, because by the time Matt turned the porch light on and ran outside, he was gone.
Why isn't
We all
just
got
Matt
up.
running outside? There's two of
The
y'all.
girls were terrified.
Run outside
Tyler
together.
tried to convince
There's
everyone it
power
was just some
in
drunk
numbers.
local messing with us. Chris said maybe it was a hunter who got lost, but I knew it was that guy watching me. He wasn't lost.
Yeah.
We blocked the doors, moved the couch in front of the big living room window, and took turns staying awake for a few hours. Nothing else happened that night. The next morning, we went outside. There were footprints, bare human footprints circling the entire cabin. They stopped at every window,
Why
every
y'all
single
still
one,
in the house?
even the little one above the upstairs shower.
Oh.
That should have been it. We should have left.
Yes,
but we
yes.
didn't.
No.
We were dumb and stubborn. We
yes.
stayed.
Don't
Night
y'all
2
watch
started
movies?
the same. Drinks, music, fire pit, but the energy was different. Everyone kept glancing at the woods. Jess didn't drink, and Chris kept his hunting knife on his belt.
Uh-huh.
When we finally went inside, we
Get him
locked
that
every
yin-yin.
window and double-checked the doors.
Bing bong. Run up.
Around 3:30 a.m., Matt went to the kitchen for water. He stopped in the hallway and called my name. I got up and saw him standing there, pointing. There was someone in the
Why do
kitchen,
people keep...
the man from before.
Yo.
This time, he was inside, naked. His back was to us, covered in long, raw-looking scratches. He was standing in front of the fridge, staring at it like he didn't know what it was. He made this slow, swaying motion, like he was rocking on his feet.
Oh.
Matt didn't speak. He just backed up. We all gathered silently at the hallway entrance. I had a pocket knife. Sarah had the fire poker. Chris grabbed one of the chair legs he'd snapped earlier, trying to be funny. We turned on the light, and the man was gone. The back door was wide open.
What do you mean he was gone?
Broken.
He just poofed like
It
Hocus,
wasn't
like what?
forced. It was just open. We left 20 minutes later. No one argued. We packed only the basics, wallets,
Why did it take
keys,
20 minutes?
phones, and drove through the woods until we had enough signal to call the sheriff. When we met the deputy at a diner off the highway,
Yo,
he
this
didn't
is
look
crazy.
surprised at all.
What
He asked
do
if
you...
anyone was hurt, then said, "Yeah, we've had some trouble with folks squatting up in those woods. Not always right in the head." We tried to explain it wasn't just some homeless guy. This man watched us, came back 2 nights in a row, and had a key or somehow got inside. The deputy just nodded like he'd heard it before. When we mentioned the owner, his face almost implied that he knew the guy. The listing disappeared a few days later, completely wiped from every rental site. We never got answers, never got a call. We never even got our deposit back. But that face, the way he looked at me through the window, I still see it sometimes when I wake up at night. We don't talk about that trip much anymore. But as far as I know, none of us have been back to South Carolina since.
I wouldn't. Not me. Not me. You got no reason to be out in the woods and mountains in South Carolina, North Carolina. Like, go to the beach. You feel me? Go to the beach. Like, If you're not from that area, go to the beach. Like, there was so many freaking red flags, my people. Like, the beginning of the story, like even with the way he was describing the place, like, red flag. Like the second one, when they walked up to the place, another red flag. Like, it only takes me 2. It does not take me 3. You know what I mean? It takes me 2. I see the place and I'm looking at the photo, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm looking at the place, I'm looking at the photo again, I'm looking at the place, and if it don't look like, listen, we out. Whoever want to stay, have fun. Cause I'm calling myself an Uber. If I didn't drive, like, nah, my behind is out because I've seen way too many movies that I know that I'm probably gonna be the first one to die too. So like, not me, my people, not me, not today. Say not me. And then listen, right? The first situation happens with the guy where he's tapping at the window like you know, like tap. Nah, me myself out the door. You know what I mean? Like I'm packing my ish and I am out I'm out that door. Like it would not take another night to have men up in the house with no clothes on, butt ass, you know what I mean, butt naked, looking at your fridge, you know. No. It wouldn't have taken that. Like I said, only took those first 2 flags for me to leave. Like that could have ended so wrong. And then why is only one of the guys going outside, right, to scare off the freaking whatever that person is when there's 2 guys? Like, no, listen, we one of us go in, right? We all go through it. You know, you feel me? Like if I'm going outside to, you know, just check my, you know, my guy, you coming with me? Like even the girls, y'all coming with me? Like I ain't going outside by myself. Like I ain't playing. Listen, if none of us go outside, then listen, I ain't going outside. We not all going. I ain't going outside. Not me. And then they call the sheriff. And the sheriff's like, yeah, this happens all the time. I'm like, why is you so calm about it? Like that would piss me off. Listen, my people, listen. Oh my goodness, like Mr. Nightmare, like you really did your big one with this one, my guy. Like great video. Make sure you guys, you know, go and show, you know, him some love. And also too, before you leave this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell if you have not already, and I'll see you in the next one, my people. Peace.